Hello to another vlog. What's this? This is me making progress in my 24 and 24 because I'm very behind. I counted, I'm 17 to read. Whoops. It's not my fault. Except it is. I'm really bad at this. And this is gonna be awkward because I have this bad boy to show you. The point of this is up until the day this goes up, basically. I'm going to be in the background just making progress of these. And I will update you every time I read one. And that's gonna be the whole entire vlog. Right? And hopefully I want to read at least 5. I think I'm gonna definitely do more, but I want to read at least 5. Especially since I have some of them on audiobook right now. So that makes sense. I'm gonna do a quick rundown. We have The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I am very worried because I did see someone talk about it recently, whose reviews I trust, and saying that it was kind of long and boring. I think I've talked about this so many times I always forget what it's about. Vampires. I think it's adopted into vampire royalty family having to do competitions. I don't know. Anna Karenina, I do want to read that one in this. I do have it physically. It's over there. I just realized I don't have all the physical ones to like hold up. And that's fine. Yeah, I'm crazy. I'm going to do audiobook. I'm going to read it, right? But I have a physical book. It's over there. This whole section is just going to be putting covers on, and I'm going to have to deal with it in editing. Most Ardently, which is a historical queer retelling, obviously historical, of Pride and Prejudice that came out at the beginning of this year. This was like my most anticipated book of the year. The author of, I think it was The Wicked Bargain, which is a book we read for the podcast last year, is the author of it. I think one of them is trans or non-binary, something like that. So that's gonna be very exciting. Hellbent, this is one of the ones that got switched out for another one, either because I need an update or because SMP. Here's the thing with this one, I want to reread Ninth House first, because I think if I do, I will up it to 5, and then read this immediately, and I will die. Icarus, K. Grimm's new book on here for the fish. Icarus retelling, obviously. I'm scared because I really liked The Wicker King. Like, it was pretty good. I liked it. I get why people like it. And then I wasn't the biggest fan of The Way of the Stars, In the Stars, and that one was more my speed, so I'm worried. Otherworldly is F.T. Lucan's new book, which is one of my favorite authors. I own 2 of their books on my shelves. In Deeper Waters, and So This Is Ever After. I also read Spellbound last year. I did start it, and by start it, I mean I read like the first 5 pages of the prologue. I think it has to do with demons. But then I put it on hold because I didn't have time at the moment. But the cover is very snowy. I almost bought it while I was away on vacation. So kind of perfect for the coming up season. Crutch. Here's the thing about this one. Sequel to Crave, which I rated 5 stars in a weekend reading vlog last year. Yeah. We're not talking about it. If Twilight was written nowadays, and like 700 pages, the audiobooks of the first 4, I think, are always available on Libby at my library. So that one's gonna be really easy to get my hands on too. And I like the audiobook of the first one, and also that one ended on a cliffhanger, and I want to know. This Wicked Fate, yeah, I want to read it. This is the second book in a duology. Also, that will finish the series. That's lovely for me. That one also ended on a cliffhanger. A lot of earth magic cool things, and also bisexual. Skyward, on this one physically. Brandon Sanderson. I am in my Brandon Sanderson era. So maybe, I almost brought it with me. So maybe that will happen soon. It's, what I know about it, it is Brandon Sanderson by Sci-Fi. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This one, here's the complicated, this is the other one that I want to reread books first. I want to read the whole entire original trilogy, which I own all of them physically, all 3 of them physically, but like, we can't find a copy on Mockingjay. But I also have all 3 of them on the audiobook from Libby, so I'm going to be listening to those in like the next week, so maybe this will happen soon, right? East of Eden, it's a classic, another classic. I don't remember what it's about. Is it John Steinbeck? I think so. Only Physically. Starry Eyes. Also Only Physically. Which is a YA contemporary. I think there's something to do with camping and friendship. Can you tell I forgot what some of these are? No! Most of these are from Bestie. Not Fish Bestie, other Bestie that I just visited. Yeah, I think this one came with this year's birthday present. This was last year's, and then this one definitely came with this year's. Because she has a pushing calendar thing, and that's what I'm pretty sure that's from. Children of Time, another sci-fi I own physically. I don't remember anything about it from when I first heard about it, but I do remember hearing about giant spiders. I'm intrigued. I almost brought it with me. Guardians of the Moon, this is the one that scares me the most. It's a running joke in one of the book clubs I'm in that this one scares me because it is a thickums. It is so thick. I own it physically. And the font size is so tiny, right? And they laugh at me because I'm scared of this, but I read War and Peace. And that's fine. Crying in H Mart. This is one that I've been having difficulty getting my hands on, but I did finally get the audiobook from Libby. Nonfiction. I think it's the one nonfiction on here. Yeah. I think it was the only one in the whole entire list. Oh my god, I gotta hold it from up top. The glare from the light is really great. But yes, nonfiction. Me reading it soon because I just got it. Then She Kissed Me is a lesbian romance. The end. I think it's a summer romance, which is great for fall. And then the Book of Cold Cases, which is the Simone St. James I decided to do. I did start it while I was on vacation, and I put it on hold because I didn't have enough time. But what it's about is a woman who works, I think, as like a receptionist at a doctor's office or something like that. But also runs a true crime podcast. I think she has a history where she was kidnapped at one point or something like that. Right? And in the doctor's office where she works, she randomly runs into this is clearly the one I know the most about. God, he fell off again. She runs into a woman who was initially charged with the murder of a bunch of women. She's like a pretty rich woman from like, I think it was like the 70s or something. People were like, oh my god, she must have done the crimes because she was near one of them when they died, right? And she's pretty and rich, and so they were all like, oh, it must be her, right? And the media hated on her constantly, whatnot. And then when it came to trial, yeah, there was like no actual evidence, and she didn't go to prison and has since well, anymore because she was arrested initially, but since then she's just basically locked herself up into her mansion and doesn't talk to anyone for valid fucking reasons. And so the podcast lady decides to tries to interview her for her podcast. Because the whole thing intrigues her. And yeah, those are all the options. I could do Crush in one day because I do Craven one day. That's all of them. That's gonna be a fun time to edit. I can see it in my future. But yeah, that's that. I will talk to you when I read one of these. To be honest, probably gonna be Crying in H Mart because that's the one I have right now. Let's be real. But yeah, that's that. I think we all recognize this angle is better than trying to bring it back to the chair. I read this one. I read Crying in H Mart. Spookopolython. I did it I think it was in 8. And it was present. It was whichever book you want to read, which was so helpful picking out a book. So I've just picked Crying in H Mart because I had the audiobook on Libby and it's kind of short. Did that. I am in the middle of another one. I'm not gonna update you on that. I'm just gonna update you on Crying on H Mart. In which I read the whole thing. It was fine. 4 stars. Like, it's a typical memoir for me, like, whatever. I think most memoirs are 4 stars except for the occasional one I really, 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 really love. Those are 5. But yeah, it's fine. It's whatever. I recommend. Moving on. It almost made me cry. I did expect it to make me cry, but I almost did. Anyways, moving on. I want to finish the other one also by the end of this week, so you'll have 2 updates in 1 week. Oh my god. I finished another one. Can I wipe it off? Partially. Oh, I'll get it actually off. I think this makes me at 9 out of 24. Hear me out. I would like to read 3 more so that I'm halfway done. We'll see. We'll see. I would like to thank Libby for having the audiobook of this so I could push through. It is over 400 pages, and I would like to ask why. This is one of the books in which every side character is, at least most of them, is kind of the worst. The most obvious one being her father, who is homophobic and racist. And then you also have, you know, the less obvious ones, which is like all her friends, who, and hear me out, leave her stranded in the middle of the woods. Like, she actually gets bitten by a snake. Because of it. And, thankfully, the one who was in charge of doing that was immediately caught in that lie and, was punished by being sent to private school. She was punished by being able to go to private school. It didn't do that well. Yeah. I'm just saying that that's illegal. Part of that was also leaving like all their stuff up on the mountain, which is also illegal. So, rangers did, I assume, sue them. So that's nice, except they're rich, so they don't care. But yeah, no, that's, kind of the whole setup of this, where Zori, and Lennon were best friends who kind of had a flirtation, and then all of a sudden, like, he, like, just didn't show up at homecoming, and they haven't talked since. It's been about a year, summer before senior year, and Reagan, her kind of only friend, invites her to go camping, glamping thing, and one of her other friends, is all like, you have to come to this stargazing thing, so she, like, plans to go from that to that, right, because she's big into stars, and, she recently, right before the trip, learns that her dad cheated on her stepmom, who she's really close with. We already talked about how he's homophobic and racist and not the best. And has anger management issues. Hot take. And so then, good old times happen. She goes on the trip, in which Lennon is also there. Oh no. And then, the other people on the trip that aren't Zori and Lennon gets them kicked out of the glamping location, so they're forced to go on this hike early, and then they're attacked by a bear because one of the other people was stupid, and they like start, like, Zori kind of had a thing for him, and so they start like blaming the fact that he allowed did the stuff that made it so they were attacked by a bear, because he was too busy flirting with the friend Reagan, but like they're not supposed to know that, because Reagan doesn't want her to know that, because she'll make a scene when Reagan's the one that made the scene. And then when Zori finally claps back after over a year of this, then they leave her and Lennon alone on the trail. And so then he's like, I'm gonna get you to that place where you need to stargaze, blah, blah, blah. And so after, like, spending, like, 4 days alone in wilderness, she learns why he left her, and the truth of everything, and a bunch of stuff, and, makeup, and then bang a lot, and then they get to the location for the stargazing, and her dad's, like, there, and he's all like, no, this was kidnapping my daughter. Yeah. So, yeah, and then she's all like, hey, I know you're cheating on mom, and then the mom's all like, yeah, I know about that, it's fine. And then Zori learns, oh no, she knows about Molly, but there's others, and other people have been talking, and that's why we're going out of business, because everybody knows that he's cheating on you. And so the part where the Korean step grandmother shows up and calls him stinking pile of dog shit. So funny. So funny. Yeah, she leaves him. She gets sorry, because he doesn't care enough to do a custody battle, right? Goes to stay with one of his mistresses, and then because her family's the one that bought the place of their business, and also the apartment above it, she goes back in and then changes all the locks and takes all of his stuff out of it, and starts running the business on her own. Also, her family suing him because there's this whole thing where the money for the business that they gave them, right, the business loan they gave them, he used to pay for all of his mistresses. And that's why she has no credit right now. And her and Lennon are happy. Zori and Lennon are happy. Literally the only part I cared about was, like, the very end when, like, her dad finally gets his comeuppance, and her stepmom is the coolest, and so is her grandma. In the end, it was fine. This was not for me. I really think if it wasn't for this, I would have DNF'd it. Hear me out, because it's definitely a 3-star. The way the characters are, it's just not a book I enjoy reading. Characters in which they're just kind of insufferable and don't recognize it. Like, I get that Reagan's supposed to be like this, right? That's the way she's supposed to be written. But, like, she gets no karma, whatnot, because of it. And she's exactly the same, and, like, doesn't apologize about any of this stuff, including letting her friend possibly die. Just saying. So, yeah, also, a lot of emotional, I don't want to say abuse, but definitely, like, a questionable stuff, between Reagan and Zori, on Reagan's part. So, I don't like reading that. And thankfully, around part 2 is when they get left on their own on the trail, which is halfway through, so I didn't have to deal with that character anymore. So yay. But, yeah, the first half was very insufferable because of that. And then, also, I don't like infidelity. Like, did I like the fact that the guy doing infidelity is gonna be sued for a shit ton of money that he doesn't have? Yes, like, let's go. Let's go. Let's get her back. Fuck him. But, like, I don't like reading about it, so good times. I did really like Zori and her stepmom's relationship, though. That was very cute. About how when she just thought it was one, and they had gone to counseling for it and all this stuff, and she had stayed because she didn't want to leave Zori behind. Zori is her kid. Like, she doesn't care what people say. Zori is her kid. I really loved that, and how when she left him, she was like, oh no, I'm taking the kid and the dog. Iconic. Me too, fam. But yeah, no, it's not my type of book. Honestly, even if I read this 6 years ago, wait, let me do math. 7 years ago, when I was around the same age as these characters, 7 or 8 years ago, I'm not talking about that. I don't think I'd like it then either. Like, let's be honest. Here's the thing. It is going on the unhaul pile. And the fish will most likely like this. I told them to pick up the audiobook. I just returned it on Libby. And if they like it, they're getting this copy for Christmas, because it's definitely something more they'd enjoy than I did. Especially when it comes to YA contemporaries. It's usually, like, one of us really likes and the other one doesn't. There's, like, a few outliers, but, like, that's usually the way it goes. So, you know, there's that. 3 stars. I'm moving on with my life. Did I mention this was also for the Spookopoly-thon? I don't remember what I rolled, but I landed on Bonfire, which is a book that, you're unsure about or assume you're gonna unhaul. And yeah, I wasn't sure about this because since I bought it, I had heard stuff about it, and I was like, I don't think this is actually gonna be for me. Fuck. And so it was between this, and 2 other books, one of them also for this, and, I let one of my friends randomly pick a number, and she chose this one. And that's why I read this book. That's that. I don't know what the next book I read for this will be. Who knows? I have to read other things, though. Sad face. If I don't do enough of them. But yeah, that's that. 3 stars. Moving on with my life is going on the unhaul pile. Good times. More space on my actual shelves. Maybe I can put the giant piles of books from last summer's adventures on my actual shelves. We'll see. Okay, after fixing Eagle, I can erase this one, Icarus. I did Icarus. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Stupid. They're too old. I gotta erase it later. Icarus, the book I put on this list just for the fish. For those who do not know, Fish is obsessed with K. Ingram books. So when I put Otherworldly up here, who is by one of my favorite authors, I was like, okay, fine, I'll put the new book by your favorite author coming out in the same year, blah, blah, blah. Right? Finally read it. Took me 3 days to listen to the whole audiobook, and my general review is fine. I've had this ding with every K. Ingram I've read that wasn't Wicker King. Even Wicker King a little bit, I was just like very mad about, but the writing style in that one was much more my speed. The Weight of Stars, I think that's the name of the other one, and this one both, I was just like, I don't really care. Like, I could see how the fish would be obsessed with this. But it's just not my thing, and I won't ever read Darling, so don't try. The fish has already tried, not gonna happen. So yeah, I read it. It was fine. I have difficulty connecting to the characters. Also, we all know character-based books, not my thing, 98% of the time. So, you know, it's like, she's one of those authors where I'll, like, continue to pick up her books. But we can all accept that, like, other than The Wicker King, I don't think I will be in love with any of them. Right? Like, that one's one of my favorite books. But, like, otherwise, meh. Right? That being said, it was a fast read and I enjoyed it. It reminded me, not in, like, actual plot or anything, but, how it made me feel was very similar to Okay Cupid by Mason Deaver, who is also one of my favorite authors. And it's like this thing where it's like both of them were the third books by them that I had read, and I just, the whole time I was just there like so yeah, that's my review of it. Anna Karenina is going to be the weekend reading vlog that goes up, I think 2 weeks, 1 week or 2 weeks before this. I don't remember which. So with that, I think we would be at needing one more to reach halfway, but I think I'm going to try to fit 5 into this vlog anyways, maybe more, but like I at least want to do 2 more. I do have a bunch from Libby. It's just like I gotta pick them up, and that's the issue. That's the issue with all my books from Libby. Like I don't know, but I have this one I'm going to be reading, but then I also have this one, I have this one. I am rereading the Hunger Games series. I'm like halfway through it before I read this one. I have this one, I have this one, this one, I have this one. I gotta get my hands on this one again because I'm partially through it. Like, I have all of them either on Libby or Hoopla or physically already, like most of them. If not all of them, most of them. Well, the ones that I don't have are always available on Libby, so I'm like not worried about it. Like Crush, I know they always have the audiobooks available. Because they have unlimited copies of the first few books in the series. So, like, right? The good news is a few of them would also count towards a finishing series vlog, so I'm, like, not worried about reading those ones. But yeah, maybe I'll try to do a physical one. Because Anna Karenina won't be in this. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that's my review of Icarus. It was just fine. And yeah, that's it. Hello, I finished another one. Well, I also finished Anna Karenina, so that's great. And I know what the next one's gonna be. So a lot has happened. Being as there's an hour-long video about Anna Karenina, I kind of did it right. I'm not gonna go in depth about it. I'm just gonna briefly mention it. And put it up above in the cards. 3 stars. After the sleep deprivation of reading 517 pages of it in one day, I did recognize more of the parallels, and I like it slightly more, but it's still 3 stars. Okay. I don't think it would have ever really been anything I like, despite the fact that, yes, I do like his drawing style and what he did there. The cheating, it's just, yeah. Other thing, I read Then She Kissed Me. It's not gonna come off. Yeah. The 2 stuck on there. Then She Kissed Me, which is sapphic romance that's the audiobook under 7 hours long. I had a strong feeling I was gonna read it for this, and then woke up all thawed, hated me last night. So yeah, I definitely read that book first thing this morning / this afternoon. It's 4 o'clock now, and I just finished it. There's like 2,000 ratings on Goodreads, under 2,000 ratings, so I will go into depth about it so that you pick it up. It is about 2 women who are in their 40s. One of them, Sadie, is back home for her 40th birthday party with her twin. She is a TV star who stars in the same show as her husband, except her and her husband are going through a divorce. So that's fun, right? And her high school best friend is Devin, who is a single mom, and a lesbian. Her best friend / neighbor is a gay man, and they both wanted to be parents, and so they decided to have a child together, right? The scientific way. And so they're both in their early 40s. They're the same age. They're 40. They're exactly 40. And Devin, when they were like 16, realized she was like in love with Sadie and kissed her, and Sadie pushed her away and slapped her and never talked to her again. And it's been since then that they've talked, and they reconnect at the birthday party, being as Sadie's younger sister, I think she's younger, is the employee of Devin, who is a life coach, right? So she invites Devin to the party for obvious reasons. And then they get to talking about life stuff and whatnot. And slowly over time, like, Devin still has a thing for Sadie. She views her as her first love, and eventually Sadie decides to kiss her one night when they're hanging out, because they're getting closer as friends again, and then realizes, hey, I don't know about kissing girls in general, but I do really like kissing my childhood best friend. And other things. And things get spicy really fast. One thing I will give this book. The 3rd act breakup makes sense. It makes sense, which is basically, in like a few weeks, Sadie's going back to Hollywood to start the filming of the next season of the show, right? So that's happening, and Devin's more into the real idea of being in a relationship with Sadie just because she's, 1, already knows that she's a lesbian, and 2, has been in love with her for over 20 years, right? So she has more insight, and she is more pliable to get hurt in this whole entire fling that's happening. And also she has a son that she needs to think about, a 5-year-old son to think about. Right? And then Sadie is going through a divorce. Like, she's going through a divorce, and this is her first female relationship that she's been in, right? And so even though she really likes Devin, the idea of using her in that way is kind of icky to both of them. So they amicably break up, and then after talking to her dad, Sadie realizes, but I kind of really like her. Like, I don't think it's just like getting over my ex-husband and experimenting my feelings for girls in general. And so they start an actual relationship, though they were talking deep emotional conversations beforehand anyways. And that's it. They're together. End of the book, they are happily ever after. The end. 3.5 stars. It was fine. It's fine. Is what I was expecting. Now the next book. Okay, so I gotta explain something with Book Couple-a-thon. Book Couple-a-thon. I landed on Jason, which is a book with 13 letters in the title. I counted every single one on this whiteboard. Every single one on my Libby app. There's a lot. A bunch of others on my TBR. In general, most of them were 12 or 14. There are no 13s, which means you can avoid it and roll again with that one you have to do twice. So I did that. And I landed on social feed, which means you just scroll through social media until you find a book that is on your TBR and whatnot, or you want to read, or have access to, blah, 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 blah. The second one, because I have to do it twice, second one was Ninth House, because I do want to reread Ninth House before I read Hellbent, so now I'm joking on air. So that's happening soon. That's not going to be in this, though that means that you may see Hellbent soon-ish, because I plan to do a part 2 of this. I was going to do a different vlog, but part 2 of this I more want to do, and whatnot. And also I'm using this Book Couple-a-thon board for the rest of the year, and then I'm going to do the normal Book Couple-a-thon 2024 board, because I didn't do that round until the normal round for 2025 starts for next year. Because I just like, since I'm doing mood reading, and but I like some structure, it seems perfect for me, okay? And I really like this game. The first one that pulled up on my feed, and I hate this for me, both the board and Instagram were against me last night. I less than a week ago, I finished it at technically 12:45 in the morning this past Tuesday. It is Saturday now that I finished Anna Karenina. And this book is only 150 pages shorter-ish. That one was, I think, 736 to be exact. This one's 602. And I can't get my, I mean, I could probably find it on, Libby, but, or not Libby, online, the audiobook, because, hear me out. That's just gonna be a thing. What was I saying? Oh, I could probably find it online because it's a classic, so like, yeah, easily for the audiobook. But I'm gonna try to slowly make progress in both this and Ninth House. That is my plan for like the next 5 days. And then there's another book I need to finish before the end of the month. But that I'm expecting not to take me long. So like, I think between Ninth House is slower paced. A lot of Leigh Bardugo's, it takes me a lot longer to read. But I know I already love it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to rate it 5 stars with my reread. And having already read it before, maybe I'll go faster. So I think flip-flopping between the two of those for the next 5 days. I think I can get through this by Wednesday when this goes up. You know, good times. Should I read the introduction? I should. It doesn't count as the word pages on Goodreads, but I need to know why it starts with 1 in brackets, and then there's 2 in brackets. Like, I need to know what's going on with that. What's going on with that? Anyways, so I may do that, but I don't know. This is what's happening next. Pray for me. I am going to start it right now, because it's going to take me a while. I would like to get 100 pages in, but we'll see. That'll be chapter 11. I may be able to do it. Hello, hi. We're in the corner. But I did it. It's 9:42 p.m. the day before this goes up. I got wine. It's good wine. It's good boxed wine. Let's go with that. I don't know how many days it's been, because I think I started it. It definitely started in October. I don't know how many days it's been, but it's a week into November. I've been trying to read at least a little bit every day, but I got sick. Plus my brain slump. I did read the first half, just Eyeballs, second half, Eyeballs, and audiobook. And I really like that. Like at one point I was like, do I reread Mice and Men? Because last time I read it was like middle school. I'm questioning that decision. So that I can like be like, do I actually like really like his writing? Like really like it. Grapes of Wrath is the other one. I think those two are, that one and this one are considered like his best works, right? Which by the way, yes. Yes. I want to read that one, and then I swear I didn't do that on purpose. It has like all his books on the back, right? And there's a King Arthur one. I'm an Arthurian bitch. Obviously I need to look into that. But yes, I love this. And yep. I really thought, so basically this is two families, the Hamiltons and the Trasks, and it starts out as Adam and Eve. One of the main characters is named Adam, right? But also becomes their Adam's children, well, Adam and Eve's children, who is Kathy, Cain and Abel, or Aaron and Caleb, aka Cal, right? And yes, I didn't know that was the part that was Cain and Abel. I initially thought the part where Adam's brother's name is like Charles, I think, also starts with a C, right? Nearly beat him to death, and I thought that was the Cain and Abel part, right? And there's like a part later on when he's trying to name Caleb and Aaron, right? And they're looking through the Bible to find names to go off of, and the three of them, him, Lee, and Hamilton, the eldest Hamilton, Samuel, I love Samuel, we're sitting around talking about the story of Cain and Abel, and he was thinking about that time his brother was beat him to death, right? And they go in depth about the deeper meaning of that specific story in the Bible, blah blah blah, and it comes to a head at the very, like, the last line of the book comes full circle with that, and I was like, okay, John. Anyways, Kathy, aka Kate. Listen, because this one also has an intro. I don't remember by who. David Wyatt. And in the intro, I did not do my Duolingo yet. I just saw that. Fuck. Thank you, Duolingo, for that notification. David, in the beginning intro section that I skimmed, talks about how this book, especially in the South, was not accepted. Very much so. One, he viewed this book as like every other book he wrote was practice writing to make this book. Like, this is the book he always planned to write. Which, yeah, it's so well crafted. Like, let's go. Two, it wasn't accepted because mostly Kathy's character, she's a woman who uses sex to get power and what she wants, and she does not care who she hurts in the process. And listen, she's supposed to be the Eve, right? And I get it, but also, listen, more than once she did something I was like, okay, but like, kind of iconic, like burning her parents' life. Okay, like, what? To fake her own death? Right? Leaving her fortune to Aaron? Right? And then Aaron joining the military partially because of that, right? And then her killing herself. And then him going to the military because Cal brought him to their mother, who abandoned them, making the Cain and Abel comparison. And then Aaron dies. And then the father has this door. Like, what? Also, Samuel, I love Samuel. I love Samuel so much. Also Lee. Listen, I do have to bring up, there is racism. There is some outdated terms for Native Americans in this. as well as some American military hunting them. In fact, Adam was part of that. Though he very blatantly did not like doing it, and brings up questions on why would he have to do something like why are we doing this type thing. Um, to Adam's like closest friend slash servant is Lee, who is Asian American, Chinese American. And there's a lot of aspects where I forget the exact term he uses, where he purposely makes himself sound dumber, because despite the fact that he was born in America, if he's smart to a white person is scared of him. So he has to act dumb around white people so that they know that they're better than him and therefore don't treat him horribly. And then one time he tried to go back to China after his dad died, and they thought he was too white for them, type thing, right? And Samuel is the first person he like talks to fully as himself, at least as far as we know, for a long time. And then he does it with Adam, and like eventually he does it with everyone. Like he just is himself and all this stuff. And it was, listen, the things said in terms about Lee were done on purpose because of what John's trying to say here. And I get it. Did it make it a little difficult to read it sometimes? Yes. But I get what he's doing there. I get it. Just know like that if you want to go to read it. Yeah. Anyways. You know what was a bad idea? Reading this right after Anna Karenina? Because that one was 750-ish. This one's 600 pages. Though this one I liked a lot more. Speaking of which, how much am I rating it? 4.5 stars. I think just because it took me so long to read, partially because I'm sick, but partially because I was reading in a reading slump, and I read this right after Anna Karenina and a bunch of other stuff, I can't give it the full 5 stars. But I did love it. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna put all my shelves. I was thinking about this earlier. There's like a spot that would be perfect for it, but that's where I was gonna move Jane Eyre. And I have all my classics on that shelf, so like, not like I can put on this one. Well, yeah, I don't. Oh no. Well, for now, it's going on the pile on my nightstand because that's where all the ones that I've physically read that have to be saved for wrap-ups, quarterly wrap-ups go. Anyways, 4.5 stars. Ending on a high note. Now watch me try to remember, because I've been recording this for a month. All the books I've read for this vlog. Crying in H Mart, 4 stars, which was technically my favorite book of October, because the only other book there was, I think, the 6th volume of Ends, but like I'm not gonna rate that stuff like well, that was favorite, like whatever. And then my reread of Catching Fire, which was 5 stars. So that was labeled as my favorite of the month. Fun. I liked it. I just not enough to label as a favorite unless there's no other options. Like what the hell. There was Starry Eyes, which I'm not gonna grab. I can see it in my unhaul pile. Most likely going to the fish. 3 stars. Not my type of book. I get it, but not my type of book. And then there was Then She Kissed Me. I think that one I gave 3.5 stars. Basic adult lesbian romance. I did like how they were more older than your typical main characters for romance. That was fun. I feel like there was a 4th one. I mean, I talked about Anna Karenina for a bit. What was the other one? Icarus. I should know this because I downloaded the book covers to edit the vlog later. Icarus, 3 stars. Fine, not my type of book. Apparently every King and Crow is not my type of book except for The Wicker King. I have been told by the fish that I would love Darling, but I don't like Peter Pan. Therefore Peter Pan retellings and me ain't not gonna mix. And then that's 4.5 stars. Winner. Oh, winner. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna put her. Anyways, thank you for coming to this vlog. This is the end of it. Now I gotta end it so I can edit it. I think it's gonna be around 45-ish minutes long, so not too bad. So Wednesdays vlogs. Next Wednesday, typically this one's going up on Friday, but typically next Wednesday is the last fishing series of the year. I do have to read the 2 last books I plan to read for that. Whoops. And Friday nights are usually gaming videos that are all the ones from Twitch. The Supermarket Together ones, which I think is what's all planned for this month, are usually 2 days of me streaming it edited together, because I usually play like 2.5 hours, so that way I'm not scheduled until the middle of May for how much I play that game. And yeah, Fridays also podcast linked below, right? Also linked below is the fish who made this thumbnail. I know they did. They already made it for me. They made it for me like 2 weeks ago when I was supposed to finish this. This was supposed to be last Wednesday's vlog. So thank you to them. I'm gonna finish my wine. I'm gonna edit this vlog. Good night.